Elowen didn't know the Alpha King was dying. She didn't know that 23 Luna candidates had already failed his trial, their screams still echoing in the palace halls. And she definitely didn't know that the moment her fingers touched the ancient moonstone, every secret buried in Valdrin's bloodline would rise to the surface, including her own. All she knew was that the soldiers had dragged her from the forest at dawn, and no amount of begging would make them let her go. "Move faster, Omega." The guard's boot connected with her ankle, sending her stumbling forward on the muddy road. Elowen caught herself on her palms, feeling the sharp bite of gravel through her thin skin. She didn't cry out. She'd learned long ago that crying only made them hit harder. 3 years. 3 years since Declan had stood before their entire pack and spoken the words that ended her life. "I, Declan of Ashford, reject you, Elowen, as my mate and Luna. You are nothing. You will always be nothing." She could still hear the laughter, still feel the way her wolf had howled inside her chest, still remember her father's face, not angry, not sad, and just disappointed. They'd cast her out that same night. No belongings, no provisions, just the clothes on her back and a mark on her neck where Declan's rejection had scarred her skin. Now she lived in the ruins of an old healer's cottage at the edge of the Blackwood Forest, surviving on foraged herbs and the occasional kindness of travelers. It wasn't a life, it was an existence, but it was hers. Until today. "Why are you taking me?" Elowen asked, her voice hoarse. "I've done nothing wrong. I'm no one." The lead guard, a thick-necked man with a scar bisecting his left eyebrow, glanced back with amusement. "Every Omega in the Outer Territories is being brought to Valdrin. King's orders." "For what?" "The Luna trials." Elowen's blood turned to ice. Even in her isolation, she'd heard the rumors. The Alpha King searching for a mate. The ancient moonstone that tested each candidate's soul. The screams that echoed from the palace when another woman failed. "I can't be a Luna candidate," she said. "I'm rejected. I'm cursed." The guard's smile widened. "That's exactly why Lady Seraphine wants you there. You're going to be an example. Little Omega. A demonstration of what the moonstone does to those who don't belong." They wanted her to fail publicly. Proof that rejected Omegas deserved their fate. Elowen's wolf, dormant for so long she'd almost forgotten its presence, stirred somewhere deep in her chest. Not with fear. With something that felt almost like defiance. The capital city of Valdrin rose from the mountains like a crown of iron and stone. Towers pierced the gray sky, their windows glinting like watchful eyes. Citizens stopped to stare as the guards marched her through, whispers following in her wake. "Another one for the trial. Look at that mark. She's been rejected." "Poor thing won't last 10 seconds." The palace gates opened into a courtyard filled with nobles in silks, warriors in ceremonial armor, and at the center of it all, raised on a dais of black marble, sat the moonstone. It was smaller than she'd imagined. No larger than a human heart, its surface swirling with colors that shouldn't exist. Silver and shadow, starlight and storm. Even from 20 feet away, Elowen could feel its power pulsing against her skin. "The Omega from Blackwood," the scarred guard announced, shoving her forward. "As requested, Lady Seraphine." A woman stepped from the crowd. Lady Seraphine was beautiful in the way poisoned flowers were beautiful. Pale skin, dark hair swept into an elaborate arrangement, and eyes the color of frozen amber. "Ah yes, the rejected one." Seraphine's gaze traveled over Elowen with clinical distaste. "Perfect. We'll save her for last." For the next 3 hours, Elowen watched women approach the moonstone. Nobles with impeccable bloodlines, warriors with evident strength, a healer renowned across 3 territories. None of it mattered. The first candidate collapsed screaming, her hands blistered. The second began speaking in tongues before guards dragged her away. The third simply stopped breathing, her hand still on the stone. 23 before today. 3 more now. All failed. Perhaps, a voice said from behind the dais, we should reconsider this approach. The crowd parted and Elowen's lungs seized. She'd never seen the Alpha King before, but she knew him instantly. The way prey knew predator. Theron of Valdrin stood 6.5 feet tall, broad-shouldered and lean-hipped, with dark hair past his collar and eyes the color of molten gold. Power radiated from him in waves, but beneath the power, Elowen saw something else. Shadows under his eyes, a pallor beneath his bronze skin, a slight tremor in his left hand. The Alpha King was sick. Dying, maybe. And trying very hard not to let anyone see. The trials will continue, Seraphine said smoothly. We simply haven't found the right candidate yet. The Moonstone has killed 26 women in 2 months. Theron's voice carried exhaustion that seemed bone-deep. At what point do we admit this isn't working? When we've exhausted all options. Seraphine pointed at Elowen. Bring her forward. The guards grabbed her arms, dragging her toward the dais. The crowd murmured, some laughing. A rejected Omega at the Luna trials. A cruel public joke. But as she was forced up the marble steps, something strange happened. The Moonstone's glow intensified. Its swirling colors shifted, silver bleeding into gold. And for just a moment, the ancient artifact seemed to sing. Theron's head snapped toward the stone, then toward her. His amber gold gaze narrowed. Wait. The guard stopped. The crowd went silent. The Alpha King crossed the dais until he stood directly in front of her. This close, she could smell him. Pine and smoke and something electric. What's your name? He asked quietly. Elowen. Of nowhere. Of no one. Curiosity stirred in his expression. The mark on your neck. You were rejected. Yes. And yet you're still standing. Most rejected wolves don't survive the first year. My wolf is stubborn. The corner of his mouth twitched. So is mine. He gestured toward the Moonstone. Touch it. Your Majesty, Seraphine interjected sharply. Surely we don't need to waste time on. Touch it, Theron repeated, unless you're afraid. Elowen walked to the Moonstone. The crowd held its breath. She reached out her hand. Her fingers made contact. And the world exploded into light. Elowen had expected pain. Instead, she felt warmth. A presence wrapping around her consciousness, examining every scar and shadow in her soul. Who are you? The voice came from everywhere and nowhere. No one, she answered honestly. No. The presence pressed deeper, memories flashing before her. You are exactly who we've been waiting for. The light receded. Elowen opened her eyes to absolute silence. She was still standing. Her hands weren't burned. Her mind was intact. And the Moonstone beneath her palm had changed, its colors now steady, pulsing in rhythm with her heartbeat. Impossible, someone whispered. Seraphine's face had gone white. This is a trick. The stone must be malfunctioning. The Moonstone doesn't malfunction. Theron's voice cut through the chaos. It hasn't chosen a Luna in 4 generations, and now it has. He faced the crowd. The trials are over. We have our Luna. Your Majesty, you cannot seriously consider. Lady Seraphine. The temperature dropped 10 degrees. Question my judgment again, and we'll have a very different conversation. Seraphine's mouth snapped shut, but her eyes burned with something dangerous. She looked at Elowen the way a snake looked at prey it couldn't quite reach. Of course, Your Majesty. We should prepare the new Luna's quarters immediately. She swept away, and Elowen felt the target on her back grow larger. You should sit down. Theron appeared at her elbow. The bonding takes a toll. Before she could respond, the world tilted sideways. Strong arms caught her, lifting her easily. I've got you, he murmured. Rest now. She was unconscious before he finished speaking. When Eowyn woke, she was lying in the softest bed she'd ever touched, surrounded by silk sheets the color of moonlight. "You're awake." A young woman stood near the door carrying a tray of food. "I'm Marin. His Majesty assigned me to attend you." She set down the tray. "He said to tell you that you're safe here." "Where is he?" "In council meetings. The nobles aren't happy about the Moonstone's choice." Marin's expression tightened with worry. "Some are demanding a second trial. Can they do that?" "No. The Moonstone's judgment is absolute." Marin poured tea. "You should eat, my lady." "My lady." The words felt foreign. "What happens now?" Eowyn asked quietly. "The Moonstone chose me, but the king doesn't know me. I'm a rejected Omega with nothing." "He asked about you. While you were unconscious." Marin's eyes held knowing warmth. "He came by 4 times. Stood in that doorway for 10 minutes the last time, just watching you breathe." She smiled. "I've served here 12 years. I've never seen His Majesty look at anyone the way he looked at you." Theron came the next morning, just as dawn painted the sky. "You should be resting," he said from the doorway, still dressed in formal attire from council meetings. "So should you." His eyebrows rose. "Most people don't talk to me like that." "Most people are afraid of you." "And you're not?" "I've survived worse than you." For a long moment Theron stared. Then he laughed, surprised and genuine. "You're not what I expected," he admitted. "Neither are you. I expected a tyrant." She studied him. "Instead, I find a man who visits unconscious strangers 4 times in one night." The laughter faded. "Marin talks too much." "Marin cares about you. So does everyone here." She stepped closer. "You're not the monster the outer territories believe. So why let them think it?" His jaw tightened. "What did the Moonstone show you?" "It asked who I was. I said no one." She paused. "It said I was exactly who it had been waiting for." "Neither do I understand it." Theron moved to the window. "The Moonstone has judged my bloodline for 12 generations. It's never chosen an outsider." "Does that frighten you?" He was silent for a long moment. "Everything frightens me these days." The admission hung fragile between them. "You're dying," she said softly. "The shadows under your eyes, the tremor in your hand. You're sick with something that isn't getting better." Theron went very still. "Who told you?" "No one. I have eyes." Another silence. Then, "It's a curse, placed on my bloodline 2 centuries ago, dormant for generations but activated when I took the throne." His wolf-bright eyes met hers. "The only cure is a Luna bound through the Moonstone. Someone whose power can absorb the darkness." 26 women died because you were trying to survive. I was killing innocent people. They chose to try. Did they? His voice cracked. "When the Alpha King asks for candidates, who says no?" Eowyn reached out, her fingers closing around his wrist. Heat flared between them. That recognition from the courtyard. Something ancient clicking into place. "The Moonstone chose me," she said firmly. "Whatever curse is killing you, maybe I'm the one who can end it. Let me try." "You don't owe me anything." "I know. But you asked. Not demanded. Asked." Vulnerability broke through his guarded expression. He turned his hand beneath hers, their palms pressing together, and Eowyn felt the curse for the first time, cold and oily, coiled around his heart. Her wolf surged forward, and the darkness recoiled. The next 5 days fell into a rhythm. Mornings, she trained with Corvin, the king's personal guard. "You're Luna now," Corvin had said bluntly, pressing a practice blade into her hands. "People will try to kill you. Best learn how to stop them." Afternoons, she studied with Marin. Palace protocols, noble bloodlines, political alliances. Her head ached with names and histories, but she absorbed it all. Evenings belonged to Theron. He came to her chambers each night as the sun set, sometimes to talk, sometimes simply to sit in comfortable silence. He told her about his childhood, about parents lost to the same curse now killing him, about his sister Lysara, who'd withdrawn into grief. Lysara was 14 when they died. Theron said on the third evening. I was 19, too young to rule, too old to fall apart. So I locked everything away and became what the kingdom needed. Maybe you should unlock it, Elwyn said quietly. The kingdom needs a king, but perhaps it also needs a man. His eyes found hers in the firelight. Is that what you see? A man? I see both. The king carrying his people's survival, and the man underneath, exhausted and lonely and terrified he's running out of time. You see too much. You let me see it. The fourth evening, he took her to the Moonstone Chamber. When my ancestors first settled Valdrin, the Moonstone was already here, Theron said, circling the pedestal. Buried in the mountain, waiting. They built the palace around it. But it spoke to me. It did more than speak. He crossed the distance between them. When your wolf pushed back against the curse, the Moonstone's light doubled. The darkness actually retreated. His voice dropped. You're connected to it somehow. To the stone, to me. I don't understand how, but you want to find out. I need to find out. He stopped close enough that she could feel his body heat. Elwyn, I know this isn't fair. You were dragged here against your will, expected to fail. Instead, you became the only thing standing between me and death. Is that why you come to my chambers every evening? Because I'm useful? No. The word was immediate. I come because when I'm with you, I can breathe. Because you look at me like I'm more than a dying king. He stopped, his composure cracking open. Because my wolf recognizes yours in a way I've never experienced. Theron, I'm not asking for anything. I know you've been hurt. I just needed you to know this isn't just about the curse. You're not just a cure to me. I'm what? His gaze blazed. Everything. The moonstone flared, painting the chamber in silver and gold. She closed the distance between them. Theron went rigid as her hand pressed against his chest. She could feel the curse coiled there, but beneath it, she felt him, burning and frightened and fighting to stay alive. I was rejected once, she said quietly, told I was worthless. I believed it for 3 years. Her fingers curled into his shirt. But then I touched that stone, and it showed me fire and starlight and a wolf made of shadows. It showed me power I never knew I had. Her voice steadied. And it showed me you. What did you see? A king on his knees, not because he was weak, but because he'd carried his kingdom alone until his legs gave out. A heart so guarded it had forgotten what it felt like to be touched. Tears gathered in her eyes. It showed me someone worth saving. His control shattered. One moment he was frozen. The next, his mouth descended on hers like a drowning man reaching for air. The kiss was desperate and gentle. His lips soft, his fingers trembling against her skin. Elwyn's wolf howled in triumph as she pressed closer, arms winding around his neck. Heat flooded through her. The bond snapped fully into place. She felt his emotions crash into her. Fear, hope, desire. And beneath it all, a love so raw it stole her breath. When they broke apart, Theron pressed his forehead to hers. Tell me to stop. Tell me this is too fast. I don't want you to stop. His laugh was ragged. You're going to destroy me. Maybe, but I'll put you back together after. They stood in the moonstone's glow until twilight, wrapped around each other. There's something you should know, Theron said finally. Seraphine isn't just unhappy. She's dangerous. She's been positioning herself for years. For what? To take control. If I die without a Luna, the throne passes to Lysara. But Lysara is broken, easy to manipulate. His jaw tightened. Seraphine would rule through her. You think she's been sabotaging the trials? 26 women dying in 2 months isn't coincidence. Cold understanding washed through Lon. That's why she brought me here. Because she thought I'd die like the others. Yes, but you didn't. And now you're the one thing standing between Seraphine and everything she wants. Then we stop her, Lon said firmly. The gold in his gaze softened. You're magnificent. Remember that when I inevitably make your council apoplectic. Outside the chamber, footsteps echoed. Corvin's voice, tight with urgency. Your Majesty, we have a problem. The door burst open. Corvin's scarred face was grim. Lady Seraphine has called an emergency council session. She claims the Omega used dark magic to deceive the Moonstone. The council chamber was a cavern of polished obsidian designed to intimidate. 12 nobles sat in a semicircle, their faces carved from contempt. At the center stood Seraphine, resplendent in crimson silk. Your Majesty, she inclined her head. Thank you for joining us. Get to the point, Seraphine. This is Brother Aldrich, a truth seeker from the Temple of the White Moon. A hooded figure stepped forward. He found traces of corruption magic in the Moonstone Chamber. Murmurs rippled through the council. The Omega carries tainted blood, Seraphine continued. Her rejection wasn't merely social. It was spiritual. That's a lie. Lon stepped forward. I've never practiced dark magic. Brother Aldrich, please share your findings. The hooded figure raised his head. The corruption traces are unmistakable. Blood magic, soul binding, sorcery that can deceive even the Moonstone. I touched the stone 5 days ago, Lon said. Whatever ritual you found happened before I arrived. Seraphine's smile wavered. She's not lying. A new voice cut through the tension. Every head turned toward a young woman at the side entrance, painfully thin, dark hair lank, but eyes burning gold like Theron's. Lysara. Theron's voice cracked. What are you doing here? I've been resting for 3 years. It's time I stopped. Lysara shuffled forward. I know about the corruption because I watched it happen. Seraphine went pale. You're confused, Princess. My illness was manufactured. Poison in my tea, herbs to keep me docile. Lysara faced the council. Lady Seraphine has been drugging me for 3 years, and 2 weeks ago I watched her perform the ritual. To ensure candidates failed. The chamber exploded. Theron moved in front of Lon. Explain. Now. She wanted you dead. Lysara's eyes found Seraphine. The curse was killing you, and she made sure no Luna could survive. Once you died, she'd rule through me. You have no proof, Seraphine hissed. Lysara withdrew a small vial of dark liquid. The poison she's been feeding me, tested by healers who aren't on her payroll. Seraphine's composure shattered. You ungrateful little guards, seized Lady Seraphine. But Seraphine's hand closed around a pendant that pulsed with sickly green light. Dark energy exploded outward, throwing guards backward. You think I spent 15 years positioning myself just to be undone? Her voice resonated with unnatural power. The curse on your bloodline? I activated it. Your parents? I watched them die and smiled. Theron lunged. Seraphine laughed and vanished in shadow, her voice echoing. The curse will claim you before the next full moon. And when you're dead, I'll burn everything you love to ash. Silence fell. She killed them, Theron whispered. My parents. And I trusted her. You couldn't have known? Theron. Lysara crossed the chamber. We can grieve later. She has a pendant connected to the curse's source. If she reaches it first, she'll make the curse permanent. Lon finished. Where's the source? The old temple in the Ashvale Mountains. 3 days' ride. The full moon is in 4 days. Then we leave tonight. They rode through the night, pushing hard. A small force of 20 warriors. Lysara insisted on coming, arguing she knew Seraphine's methods best. They made camp as the first night bled into dawn, rested briefly, then rode through the second day. By the second night, the Ashvale Mountains loomed against the stars. "You should sleep," Theron said, sitting beside Elwyn by the fire. "Tomorrow will be difficult." "So should you." "I can't. Every time I close my eyes, I see my parents. Wonder how many times Seraphine smiled at them while planning their deaths." Elwyn took his hand. "She fooled everyone. That's not your failure. It's testament to her deception." "Is it?" His laugh was bitter. "Or did I just see what I wanted? Someone I didn't have to suspect because suspecting her meant being alone?" "You're not alone anymore." He turned, those molten eyes searching her face. "Whatever happens tomorrow, these past days with you have been the first time I've felt alive in 3 years." His voice roughened. "Even if the curse takes me, I'll die knowing what it felt like to be loved." "The curse isn't going to take you. You can't promise that. Watch me." She kissed his palm. "I didn't survive 3 years of hell and fall in love with a stubborn king just to lose him." Her eyes met his. "We're going to destroy that curse. Then we're going to spend 50 years making Seraphine regret targeting your family." "I love you," he breathed, completely, irrevocably. "I love you too." They held each other until dawn. They reached the temple on the third day. It was a ruin of black stone, half consumed by the mountain. Dark energy pulsed from its depths. "She's inside," Lysera said. "I can feel the pendant." They entered together. The interior was a labyrinth of collapsed corridors, thick with decay and dark magic. They found Seraphine before an altar pulsing with green light. The pendant blazed, connected by shadow threads to a massive crystal. The curse's source. "You came." Seraphine didn't turn. "I wondered if you'd have the courage." "It's over. Surrender, and I'll grant you a quick death." "Quick?" She laughed, finally facing them. Dark veins crawled across her skin. "I've spent 15 years building this moment." "Why? What did my family do to you?" "Your grandfather killed mine. Executed him for treason when all he wanted was what was rightfully ours." Her voice dripped venom. "I've simply been taking back what's mine." She raised her hands. Shadows surged into blades. Theron shifted. His wolf form massive and black, eyes burning like suns. But Seraphine was ready. Dark chains erupted from the floor, dragging him down. He howled as the curse flared, black veins spreading across his fur. "Did you really think you could beat me?" "Hey." Seraphine spun. Elwyn stood before the altar, palm pressed against the curse crystal, silver light blazing from her hand. "You forgot something. The moonstone chose me for a reason." She pushed. Silver light devoured the green, racing along the shadow threads, consuming the curse at its source. Seraphine screamed as her pendant shattered. The dark magic dissolved. She collapsed, suddenly old, suddenly weak. The chains around Theron dissolved. He shifted back, gasping, the black veins fading. Elwyn pulled her hand from the crystal and swayed. The world tilted. Strong arms caught her. "I've got you." Theron's voice was rough with emotion. "It's over. You did it." "The curse?" "Gone." He laughed, disbelieving. 3 years wrapped around my heart and it's gone." Corvin and the warriors secured Seraphine. Lysara knelt nearby, clutching her wounded arm but smiling. Really smiling. "Brother, we're free." Theron pulled his sister into a one-armed embrace, the other around Elwyn. The three stood in the ruins of Seraphine's hatred, finally whole. 3 weeks passed. Seraphine's trial was swift, the evidence overwhelming. She was executed at dawn. The kingdom celebrated. Feasts in every village. Songs about the rejected Omega who saved the Alpha King. Children acted out the temple battle in courtyards. But Elwyn still woke some mornings expecting the ruined cottage, the forest cold, the loneliness. "You're thinking too loud." Theron appeared in her doorway. I can practically hear it from my study. I thought kings were busy, being important. I've delegated my afternoon to Corvin. He sat beside her. Talk to me. I keep waiting for it to end, for someone to realize I don't belong. Ilawen. My father tried to sell me before Declan rejected me. The words unlocked a door she'd kept sealed. To a merchant who collected omegas. Declan's rejection actually saved me. The merchant didn't want damaged goods. Theron went very still. What was his name? It doesn't matter. I told you because... She met his gaze. I've never been chosen. Not by my father. Not by my mate. Not by my pack. The Moonstone chose me and I still don't understand why. Come with me. He led her through corridors to a door she'd never seen. The Royal Archive. Records of every king and Luna in Valdrin's history. The room was vast, lined with shelves stretching toward shadows. Theron led her to a pedestal with a single ancient book. The Moonstone's record. Every person who's touched it. He turned to a page near the end. Look. Her name was written in silver ink. Beside it, a phrase in the old language. What does it say? Heart of the mountain, chosen before time. The one who was always meant to be. His eyes met hers. The Moonstone was waiting for you. Generations of candidates, and it refused them all because none were you. Her lungs forgot how to work. You weren't an accident, he said. You've always belonged here, and I'll spend every day making sure you believe it. Tears fell freely now. Not sad. Release. I love you, she whispered. I love you too. He kissed her forehead, her cheeks, and her tears. Stay with me. Not because the Moonstone chose you. Stay because you want to. Is that an order? It's a request. From a man who doesn't know how to live without you. She answered with a kiss that left them both breathless. When they broke apart, Theron pressed his forehead to hers. I want to do this properly. Court you. But I need you to know, when you're ready, I want you to be my wife. My Luna. My queen. That sounds like a proposal. It's a promise. The proposal comes with a ring and Lysara crying. I don't want to wait. She pulled back to meet his gaze. I'm done waiting, Theron. I want everything. Now. Ask me properly. Right here. He dropped to one knee. Ilawen of nowhere and no one. Chosen of the Moonstone. Breaker of curses. Owner of my heart. His voice shook. Will you marry me? Yes. 1,000 times yes. He kissed her until she couldn't think. And somewhere deep in the mountain the Moonstone pulsed with silver light. The bonding ceremony was held beneath the full moon, in the courtyard where Eowyn had first touched the Moonstone. Thousands of candles floated like captured stars. White flowers cascaded from every surface. Lysara stood at the front, healthy now, eyes bright with joy. Theron wore black and silver. His crown sat heavy, but his expression held only peace. When Eowyn appeared, the crowd fell silent. She wore white silk threaded with silver. Marin had woven flowers into her hair. The rejection scar on her neck was visible, unhidden, testament to survival rather than shame. She walked alone. No father, no pack, just herself and absolute certainty. The air stopped in Theron's throat as she approached. You're beautiful, he breathed. You're not so bad yourself. The ceremony was ancient, sacred, vows in the old language that resonated through the mountain. I choose you, Theron said. Not because duty demands it, but because my heart recognized yours the moment you walked into that trial. I choose you, Eowyn replied. Not because you saved me, but because you saw me when I was invisible. The Moonstone flared, engulfing them. The bond snapped fully into place, absolute, permanent, woven into her soul. She felt his heartbeat synchronize with hers. By the power of the Moonstone, Lysara announced, I pronounce you bound, king and Luna, husband and wife, Now and forever. Theron kissed her before Lysara finished. The crowd erupted. Mine, he murmured. Yours, and you're mine. Forever. Later they lay tangled together, moonlight streaming through windows. Tell me something I don't know, Elowen said. I almost didn't go to the trials that day. Corvin practically dragged me there. His arm tightened. Said I needed to witness the consequences of my desperation. Remind me to thank him. Already did. Gave him a promotion. He cried. She laughed. Your turn. Do you regret it? Any of it? She thought about Declan's cruelty, her father's betrayal, the years of hunger. No. Every terrible thing led me here. To you. She lifted her head. I'd live through all of it again. His expression softened beyond love, wonder, reverence. You didn't just save my life. You gave me a reason to want it. She kissed him, slow and sweet. He pulled her closer. Outside, the moon continued its journey. The kingdom slept, safe and whole. Elowen thought about the woman she'd been. Starving, invisible, waiting to disappear. That woman was gone. Replaced by a Luna, a queen, a wife. Someone who'd touched an artifact that killed 26 others and emerged transformed. She'd walked into those trials expecting to fail. Instead, she'd become proof that the most broken things could still be chosen. Every Luna candidate had failed the Alpha King's trial. Then the rejected Omega walked in, and everything changed. Where are you listening from? I'd love to meet you in the comments. And if you enjoyed this story, subscribing is free and helps more people discover these tales.